Part 3. So this is how they're doing it. So they tell me that I'm not convicted, and when I went to probation right after the hearing where I took the plea deal, I got a document saying I still maintain my Second Amendment rights to bear arms, to protect myself and my property. I still have the right to a firearm because I wasn't a convicted felon. So I had a document that they made me sign in the probation department, and they gave me a copy of it. And I brought it home with me, and I have it. And now they're telling me I have a conviction. So I don't have a Second Amendment right if I'm convicted of a felony. So it's they want you to believe you're not, but then you are. And they're lying to everybody. They lied to me, they lied to everybody. Okay? It is a conviction, period. Plain and simple. Even though they're not adjudicating on it, it is a conviction. They can use it against you later, and it can't. The conviction in and of itself will always remain a part of a record somewhere, even though it's supposed to be adjudicated. In other words, deferred adjudication, meaning it's supposed to disappear. It will, as far as they can't use it for enhancement of another crime, or they can't use it for any other purpose other than identification. But it still shows in the record as an arrest, okay, for a felony charge. So even though they're not convicted, they're still going to show a felony arrest. Period. It never goes away. So it's all bogus. It's all BS. It's all bullshit. Okay? So I am convicted. And here's another thing. They tell me, this is what the court told me. She says, well, you filed under 1107, which is a post-conviction relief. It goes straight to the Criminal Court of Appeals. And they're the ones that hear the issue, or rule on the habeas issue. And 11072 does not give the Court of Criminal Appeals the jurisdiction of the habeas issue. It remains in the district court. And that's specifically in the code, in the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. So, by her telling me that it's supposed to go to the Criminal Court of Appeals, I'm thinking, oh, that would normally, if I weren't as smart as I am, and I know what I know about the law, and anybody else would go, oh, okay, I guess. But no, it's not true. It's a lie, another lie. So what they did is, she says, well, you're not going to have a hearing. You filed in the Criminal Court of Appeals, so there's not going to be a hearing. And I said, no, but no, you're not a lawyer, clerk. This is the way the law reads. And no, I did not file under 1107. I filed under 11072, which is a pre-conviction remedy for somebody on deferred adjudication probation who has not been convicted in the trial court. Okay? Because the judge specifically told me that day, and I have witnesses that were there and heard him say, well, no, sir, this isn't a conviction. You're not convicted. Okay? Just so I would take the plea deal, because I wasn't going to take it. I was refusing it. I didn't want to lose my Social Security disability benefits, because if I'm a convicted felon, they can remove my benefits from me. So I didn't want to lose those. And then every month I was in jail that they paid me, I have to pay them back. So no, I didn't want to lose that. So they said, no, sir, you're not convicted. You're not convicted. But then I filed habeas corpus. They tell me I'm convicted. They're filing it in the Criminal Court of Appeals. So I get an email from the court administrator today, because I sent her a follow-up yesterday saying, haven't heard from you, what's going on? So, you're setting my hearing? And she says, Judge already made a ruling on your motion, and the clerk will be forwarding you a certified copy of the order. Wait a second, back up, hold on. So you're trying to tell me that this writ of habeas corpus, which gets filed in the trial court, goes to the Criminal Court of Appeals, the judge still can issue an order on my motion and file it in the court. So now that's interesting, because either he has jurisdiction on the habeas issue and he can enter an order, or he doesn't and it goes to the Criminal Court of Appeals. You can't have it both ways. They're trying to tell me it goes to the Criminal Court of Appeals, but he made a ruling in a motion anyways. So what they just did is they denied me my hearing that I specifically filed for, because I made pleading stating that the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure requires that my pleadings are not sufficient for a habeas reversal of the conviction. It has to be my verbal testimony in the court. So I was going to go in and put on the record, in my voice, my pleading, verbally on the record, what my motion stated. Because you see, now pleadings, the sworn motion isn't sufficient to grant habeas relief, according to the precedent in the judicial system in the state of Texas. It's been ruled on prior cases that pleadings in and of themselves, written motions, written pleadings, are insufficient grounds for reversal of habeas, for reversal of conviction on habeas corpus. They in themselves are insufficient. They're not enough. So I put that in my motion. I motion for a hearing that requires me to come in and put this on the record. Otherwise, then the whole thing's frivolous. And then they can dismiss it because it's frivolous, because they can't rule on anything, because they can't just use my written motions. My sworn affidavit is my sworn motion. Yeah, and it's not in and of itself enough to overturn the conviction. So they know what they're doing. What they're doing is they prevented me from verbally getting on the record. The police officer lying for her on her affidavit for the arrest warrant to the justice, JP, to get the arrest warrant. The officer lying in her police report, stating that I had multiple felony convictions in the state of Texas, making me appear as if I'm a common criminal committing crimes in the county. So the grand jury would see that and say, okay, we've got a guy here who's got multiple felony convictions, one for burglary, because that's what the officer states her investigation found, which is a lie, bold-faced, flat-out lie. And once it's determined that the officer lied, anything at all, not only is her entire testimony thrown out, but anything she's ever testified in any other case in the county or the city, anything at all, has to be looked at with a fine-tooth comb. And if there's anything done in that case, that has to be overturned also. Period. Even if it's not proven, it's possible that she did. Because she did in this case. But they don't want that. They can't let that happen. If that were to happen, it throws the whole system out of whack. They have to start giving people money back. People went to jail. They got reimbursement for the time they spent in jail because of false conviction. Oh yeah, a bunch of nasty things can happen when an officer lies on an affidavit, and it's proven in the courts. So they don't let it get into the courts. They don't want that in there. I heard a judge tell me one time. He says, I know he's lying to me. I know that officer's lying to me. Better not let me catch him lying to me. I know you're lying to me. Just don't let me catch you. All right? That's the whole thing. They know they lie to him. They don't want to be able to catch them because that's when things fall apart. If they catch them, there's a problem. So what happens, like what happened with Officer Jimenez, the first officer in the Church Police Department, they terminated him because he lied to the municipal judge, claiming that my brother said that I was a part of the community emergency response team, that I was impersonating a first responder. Oh, and that I'd been arrested for it before. Yeah, those were all lies also. And when I filed a motion for rehearing in the court and was going to bring my brother in to testify to the judge that officer lied, he never said any of those things. That wasn't true. They did that just so they could further the state's conviction and position. They couldn't let that happen. They fired him. They terminated him. And they dismissed my tickets against me under what they call justice. They were dismissed for a matter of justice. Yeah. But then they got on the tickets in the municipal records. It says an officer wasn't present at the hearing. Of course he wasn't. They fired him. They didn't want him there. They got rid of him so he wouldn't show up. They told him, "You're terminated. Get out of here. Don't come to court. Don't come to trial. No, get out of here. Don't ever come back." So he moves on, like they do all the other ones. They move on down the road and they go to the next department, and they're doing something else. And that's the whole reason for this bill that just got passed in the Congress of the officers now have to go. There's a reporting system where now all of their bad deeds are going to be going to this system, and they get tracked, so they can't go from department to department to department doing these things over and over and over again. Okay, there has to be some stop to it, and that's what they're trying to do. But it's like putting It's like putting a finger in a dike. You know, the little boy in the dike in Holland. The dike's leaking, so he sticks his finger in it. Think he's going to stop it, and then another hole pops up. Well, he's only got 10 fingers. What do you do when there's 11, 12, 13 holes? You can't start using toes and whatever else. But no, that's the whole point. Is once it starts, it's a progression. It just gets worse and worse and worse, and they have to find a way to stop it. And they're hoping that this will be enough, but it won't. It won't. The system is so messed up now. We've got so many people in positions of authority that know that they're in that position of authority, and there's nobody that's going to take them out of it, and they can do whatever they want, say whatever they want, get away with whatever they want, and they're the ones that enforce the laws. They feel like they're the ones that can make the laws. Even though they're not supposed to, the legislature is supposed to do that. They're just supposed to enforce what the legislature rules. But that's not what's happening. There is no separation of powers. I'll guarantee you that right now. There is no separation of powers. When the judiciary starts making these things to where they can do what they want, separate from the legislature, and the legislature never intended that to happen, but they're doing it anyways, that's where our constitutions fall apart. That's where we have a fundamental problem in America today, in the United States, and especially here in Texas. We have people in positions of authority like Greg Abbott, our governor. His biggest thief there ever was ever set in the governor's mansion is Greg Abbott. Okay, when he stole that money from me and then turned around and had one of his little minions, the assistant attorney generals, come in and represent him in the court and say he's sovereign immune, so you got to dismiss the case, and they dismiss it, and I never get my money back that they stole from me. Then yeah, that's when I knew there was something wrong with our system. And now I know for sure there's something wrong when I get these false charges against me and these false convictions and prosecuted and persecuted like I am. So what's going to stop it? I don't know. I really don't know. Save for a full out revolt and revolution, I don't think anything ever will, because the system is so ingrained and so set in right now that the only thing that will change it is a full fundamental constitutional Congress to go in to Austin, and we go in and we flush the whole system out. And we start over again with all new representatives, all new everybody, and we just sweep them under the rug, and the ones that got to go to jail, okay, for crimes they've committed, and the ones that don't, they may be able to stay, okay, but I mean I don't know. I really don't know what the answer is. I wish I did. You know, when it gets to a point when I start feeling like I'm Edward Snowden and I need to start heading to Russia, right? There's something wrong. There's something really wrong, because you see, I didn't give away state secrets. I didn't divulge top secret information. You know, that was protected proprietary, to protect our country, national secrets. I didn't do any of that. Okay, I didn't commit a crime like that. He did. So yeah, he needs to be in Russia. Okay, so, and they can have him. More power to him. You know what he did. If I do the same thing in his place, I don't know. I really don't know. I would think I wouldn't, because I grew up. My dad was in the military, Air Force. I'm an Air Force brat. I spent time in the Navy myself, and I swore to the Constitution, an oath to defend the Constitution and the freedom and rights of the people of America, and was willing to give my life to do it. So I understand that there are certain things you just can't tell everybody. Just can't. Okay? Because it would threaten the safety of everybody. Okay? So yeah, what he did was wrong. He might have did it for the right reason, but the way he did it was still wrong. You do like everybody else. You wait until you're retired and then you write your book. Okay? That's what everybody else does. So I don't know where this is going to go. I've got the judicial system playing games with me. I've got people telling me one thing, something else is happening. I mean, no crime was ever committed to begin with. I shouldn't even be in this position. Police officers are lying on their affidavits, on bench. Under oath. It's just crazy. It's insane. And yeah, I got a fireman's cup. I sure do. It says the Bear County ESD, Emergency Service District. Yeah. So, but I did my 10 years. I'm done. I never thought I would get this kind of persecution from law enforcement, who I worked with day in and day out on emergency scenes. You know, they backed me up. I backed them up. That's the way it was. But, you know, I feel betrayed. I feel used. I feel abused. I was trained under FEMA, Department of Homeland Security, DHS, for the Community Emergency Response Team, which is a volunteer organization of the federal government, FEMA, administered by the states, given authority through the governor, who is our Homeland Security representative in the state for natural disaster and man-made events under Homeland Security. So, did I enjoy working under Greg Abbott? Luckily, I never had to work under him or near him. Yeah, I'm not sure what I would have done. I might have put my fist through his face. But then I wouldn't be any better than he is. And he uses that wheelchair really good. And you know what? I'm just as disabled as he is. All right. I've been disabled for 20 years. I've had major spinal discectomy, multiple discs partially removed out of my back. But yet I suffer and I deal with the pain every day, and I function, and I volunteered for 10 years. I mean, come on. So, yeah. I have no feelings for the guy, none whatsoever. Yeah, it's a shame. I shouldn't feel that way. I should have a lot of respect for my governor. I should have a lot of love and goodwill for my governor, but I don't. And I don't think I ever will until he's gone. Just because I know he was an attorney general. He was a lawyer, and back in the early 1900s, we were warned: don't ever let lawyers become your administrators of your government, because you'll find that they're going to start doing things that never would have thought would happen. And they're right. We should never let any lawyer be a governor, president, congressman, any legislative, political, public servant at all. Yeah, they're attorneys, they're lawyers. They litigate, they lie. That's what they do. They do what they need to get their client what they want, and even if it's wrong, there's something fundamentally wrong when a defendant who just committed a murder is given an attorney who's supposed to defend him and get him off if he can. Yeah. If it's a technicality, they did something wrong, get him released, get the charges dropped. Yeah, the guy killed somebody, he's a murderer. But you don't care. You're doing your job. You're an attorney. You're a lawyer. You're supposed to do that for your client. I just wish that they did that for America and not for their client or for themselves. I could never be an attorney. I could never be a lawyer. I can't lie, and I'm not about myself. I'm about helping other people. So it would never work. I just couldn't do it. Could not do it. Couldn't. I don't have the negative. I don't have the, how do I put it? The chutzpah to be an attorney, and that's a word from the Jewish language, meaning something in your character that gives you the ability to do that which others can't or won't. So, yeah, I don't know if I want that chutzpah, personally. I have to live myself. I have to be able to go to sleep at night. I feel sorry for Judge Old. Here's a man who's got elected to be a judge, has a job to do of dealing with common criminals every day, and it's not his fault when he gets somebody in front of him who didn't commit a crime, who is not a criminal, and he treats them like one because that's what he does, and that's his job, and he's being lied to and manipulated by what's in the records that has been lies and deceit. So he has no knowledge that what he's doing is wrong. He believes he's doing the right thing for the right reasons. So I can't fault the guy. I hold no ill will for Judge Holt whatsoever. Judge Contreras in Bexar County, on the other hand, the ex-federal prosecutor, I can hold ill will for him because he purposefully lied, changed the Texas Constitution, and changed the Texas Code, Texas Government Code, 14.1071 of the Texas Government Code, which is the Commission on Fire Protection, making volunteer firemen mandatory to have certification by the Texas Commission on Fire Protection. Otherwise, they're not volunteer firemen, which is not true. That's a lie. No volunteer fireman or fire department is required to be under the control or under the restrictions of the state unless they receive money for their services, they're no longer volunteer, or they have a contract with the county or the state. Then they can be regulated by the state, and it's required. But other than that, no. So it was a lie. He found me guilty of impersonating public servant volunteer fireman, claiming I didn't have the certification by the Texas Commission on Fire Protection. Because I didn't have their certificate, I wasn't a volunteer fireman. I wasn't a public servant. But, the funny thing about that is the law says anybody who does an act of government, just doing the act of government, period, in and of itself, makes you a public servant. No certifications, no licenses, nothing at all. Just performing an act of government makes you a public servant. But they won't tell you that. No. You got to have their license. You got to have their certificate. You got to have the authorization. Them agreeing to let you be the public servant. Even if you perform the act of government, doesn't matter. Did you have their authorization to do it? Funny. Saving somebody's life on first response is an act of government. Anybody can do it. For them to turn around and say you have to have a piece of paper or a license that says you can do it is another fundamental problem we have in America today, because you see that's where our officials are again overstepping their bounds and doing things that they shouldn't be doing. So that's it for now, YouTube. I don't know what else to do except pray to God that He changes all this sooner or later, and for the better, because, brother, I just can't see it getting any worse. I mean, I can, but I don't want to see it get worse. It's bad enough as it is. So God bless everybody. Stay safe. Take care.